This month's 191 Collabs, presented by Hennessy, is bringing Grizz Nation an all-star matchup it won't want to miss. Renowned fashion designer Prep Curry and Grizzlies forward Jaren Jackson Jr. have teamed up for a 6-piece collection that's as eclectic and unique as the city they both call home. These limited edition threads won't last long and are only available on FedExForum Thursday, December 19th, when the Grizzlies take on the Golden State Warriors at 7 o'clock. Buy your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com or the FedExForum box office.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedExForum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name's Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from Midtown Manhattan, New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis, producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you're ready for what is always a fun night inside FedExForum. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are in town. A dynasty's in town. We'll get you ready for it momentarily if you're not ready already. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. In the next segment, about 20 minutes, I'm going to be joined by Mike Wallace, senior editor, Grind City Media. He's on X at my Mike Check. He'll help us get ready for Grizz-Warriors tonight inside FedExForum. Mike Wallace is going to join me in about 20 minutes. When I finish talking to Mike, take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Penny Hardaway's Tigers added another road win over an ACC school last night. Final score, Memphis 64, Virginia 62. Celebrate the Tigers' 9-2 record. We'll do it in about 40 minutes. Alabama coach Nate Oates tried to do something nice last night and take Grant Nelson back home to play his a game in his home state of North Dakota. It almost backfired. We had a fun one on CBS Sports Network. I'll tell you more about that a little later on in the show. Tennessee Titans coach Brian Callahan, he finally snapped. It's just a matter of time. Finally snapped during Wednesday's press conference. He told a reporter to shove a question straight up his ass. All-time answer to I think a questionable question. I'll get Bennett's thoughts on that. We'll do it in the second hour. New York Jets owner Woody Johnson reportedly nixed a trade for Jerry Jeudy because he didn't like that the receivers' Madden rating was so low. I believe that's true because I trust the reporting. I would like to think that can't possibly be true, that you can't possibly be smart enough to end up in a situation where you own a professional football franchise, but silly enough to determine whether transfers should not be made based off of video game ratings. But I don't know, man. I'm surprised every day. Tell you more about that in just a bit. And the verdict is in. in a wild case that has captured the attention of France. I listened to a podcast about this yesterday. Like maybe the craziest story I've ever heard. I'll share it with you if you don't know anything about it. It'll blow your mind. We'll do it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's Carry Out, and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because game 28 of a scheduled 82, it's set for tonight. They're going to do it inside FedExForum. Grizz-Warriors, 7 o'clock. Memphis listed as a 2.5-point favorite. Total 236.5. Tickets are available right now. Grizzlies.com. Big Bet Bennett, it's been a minute since the Grizz were on the court. Haven't played since Sunday night. That was out in Los Angeles. Lost that game 116-110. Flew home Monday. Back in action tonight. Are you predicting a bounce-back performance against Steph and Draymond?
Oh, I think we're going to beat the crap out of them.
The crap?
Dude, I didn't even realize. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. The Warriors have. They are not playing well. I had no clue that they had fallen off so much because they were at kind of near the top to start the season of the West standings, but they're not playing good at all. I hope we beat the crap out of them tonight.
You're saying a lot of stuff that applies to the pre-Dennis Schroeder Golden State Warriors.
Oh, okay.
Tonight it's
he's here to save the day. It
appears you're talking about the pre-Dennis Schroeder Golden State Warriors, but tonight you're going to be dealing with the Golden State Warriors that are guided by Dennis Schroeder. It's a different thing.
He has played well against us. That is true.
He is a little. He's an agitator.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Agitator. I like that.
It adds a dynamic to the situation. So, if you were listening to the show earlier in the week, and God, I hope you were, I was talking with Chris Vernon. You know Chris Vernon, don't you, Bennett?
I do know him. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was talking to Chris Vernon the other day. We were talking mostly about Oklahoma City, because he has real hatred in his heart for the OKC Thunder. So we're talking about the OKC Thunder. They're on pace to finish first in the Western Conference for the second straight year. And yet, as we discussed, there are plenty of Oklahoma City skeptics that remain. Vernon is among them. And the main argument the OKC skeptics make when they're being skeptical about a team that's got the best record in the West right now for the second straight year, the main thing they'll point to is that they don't have the postseason battle scars. That the history of the NBA tells us you probably need to have on big stages before you can ultimately break through and do the whole thing. Broadly speaking, that is true. Michael Jordan went through that. LeBron James went through that. Most superstars do have to go through that. But while I was talking to Vernon, I mentioned how I didn't think that was really the story of the Golden State Warriors. And so with that in mind, and with them in town, I decided to take a closer look at it and just refresh my memory. How did the Golden State Warriors go from whatever franchise in California to the most valuable franchise in the NBA, a dynasty with 4 championships? And after doing so, I really do think the Warriors are more of the exception than the rule. Let me run you through it, Bennett, as we get ready for Steph and Draymond and Steve Kerr to be inside FedExForum tonight. The first year the Warriors made the Western Conference playoffs with Steph Curry was actually 2013. It was the 2013 season, and they were a 6th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. Won their first-round series, got to the Western Conference semifinals, and then lost to the Spurs 4-2. So if you're looking for the season, where did this thing really start? All right, they broke through and finally made the playoffs with these young pieces. That's the season where it happened, 2013. The following season, the 2013-14 season, the Warriors were a 6th seed again, finished 6th in the West again, and this time they lost in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. They lost to the Clippers in 7 games. As a result of that, they fired Mark Jackson. They hired Steve Kerr. They discovered Draymond Green. And then in the next season, that 2014-15 season, the Warriors went 67-15, got the 1 seed in the West, beat LeBron James and the Cavs in 6 games in the NBA Finals. And that was the first of 4 championships with Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green leading the way. Obviously, Kevin Durant was a huge part of two of those teams. But my point is that the Warriors were nothing better than a 6 seed in the years leading up to their first NBA title with Steph Curry as the face of it. They did not take any real lumps in the postseason or accumulate these battle scars that so many other franchises have had to accumulate. They were just a whatever Western Conference franchise until they fired Mark Jackson, hired Steve Kerr, and made Draymond Green a full-time starter. As soon as those things happened, Golden State went from a team with the 6th best record in the West to the team that won a title, then got the best record in the NBA the following season. And all of this happened really in one off season. Fire Mark Jackson, hire Steve Kerr, commit to Draymond Green as a full-time starter. You go from 6th seed in the West to the best team in the West to the best team in the NBA with the title. That's the origin of the dynasty that's going to enter FedExForum tonight. Draft Steph Curry in 2009, draft Klay Thompson in 2011, draft Draymond Green in 2012, fire Mark Jackson, hire Steve Kerr in 2014, win a championship in 2015. Then they blow the 3-1 lead to LeBron and the Cavs after winning a record 73 games. That was 2016. Then they signed Kevin Durant, win another title in 2017, win another title in 2018, lose Kevin Durant to free agency, lose Klay Thompson for multiple years to multiple injuries, get Klay Thompson back, win another title in 2022, lose Klay Thompson to free agency or push him out the door, add Grizz hater Dennis Schroeder, and now they're going to enter FedExForum with a 14-11 record in this season. Big Bet Bennett, a dynasty is in town. Do you respect it, or do you want to embarrass it? I think I know the answer. You just said you wanted crap to come out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I actually do respect them. I mean, we talked about this. We were talking about when we had that discussion about Oklahoma City and just rivalries and wanting to have more rivalries for the Grizzlies and just in the NBA in general. And, Oklahoma City stands out right now. Obviously, you got a little, history with them, but really, like, the Warriors is the team we have the most history with because it carries over from the grit and grind era into this new Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane era of the Grizzlies. Like, if you were going to say who their biggest rival is, it's got to be the Warriors. And I frankly, they would never acknowledge this. I do think that they consider the Grizzlies a rival, too, because they had to take their lumps against the Grizzlies early on. Like we were talking about that yesterday, too, is those Mark Jackson teams. The Grizzlies used to beat the crap out of them in the regular season. And then,
that's why Mark Jackson still talks into a microphone if anybody will let him, Bennett. He was not good. Yeah,
no, it's true. But I'm saying there's so much history there that I think this is still the Grizzlies' biggest rivalry. I'm fired up for this game, man. It's a big one. It's a big regular season game.
I never understood the people who every time an NBA job opens up, they act like Mark Jackson should be involved in it.
He did struggle there. Yeah.
You had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, didn't know what to do with it, didn't know how to use it. They fired you, hired somebody who had never coached before, and that guy immediately won a championship.
Yeah.
And now he's got 4.
And I'm convinced. Yeah, go ahead.
Either Steve Kerr is the greatest coach of all time or Mark Jackson is the worst coach of all time, or there's something in between. But, that's humiliating. I would be humiliated if somebody said, hey, you've done an okay job, but it's time for you to move on. And the second I moved on, they hired somebody who had never even done the job they were hiring them to do, and they did it so much better than me and did it at a historic level. It would make – how did I have something that could win 4 championships for another person, and the best I could do with it is a 6th seed in the West? Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about how subpar you have to be to do that.
It is wild. And listen, I'm convinced that first season they won the title when they went through the Grizzlies in the second round – that was the 14-15 season. I think that was the Grizzlies' best shot to win a championship. I think that was the best Grizzlies team. And of course, Mike Conley gets his face broken in round 1 against the Trailblazers. Tony Allen has the hamstring. I think that if the Grizzlies would have been healthy in the playoffs, that was probably their best shot to ever win a championship.
I think we reached a point in whatever the Warriors-Grizzlies rivalry was where they started because you got to understand the Warriors-Grizzlies rivalry, the characters involved changed dramatically from the beginning throughout it. It starts with a core four rivalry, but then it ends up with Ja and Jaren and Dez and Dylan Brooks popping off, right? So the characters on this side of it changed pretty dramatically, nearly entirely. I think we went from a point where they really did respect the Grizzlies and looked at them as a real threat. I mean, there was a moment in time where, if I remember correctly, they were down in a best of 7 and like having a late night meal at Blue City to try to figure out what to do.
I think it was that series because we were up 2-1 and then they won the next 3 after that.
So I think there was a moment where they knew, like, we're in a fight here.
Yeah.
We're in a fight with this franchise, and they're not intimidated by us or scared of us or anything by us. I think that existed. That was a real thing. And then I think when the characters switched, then they just went from respecting the Grizzlies to just being like a little irritated by them. Like,
right.
Shut up.
Oh yeah.
You guys are young and you haven't done anything yet. You should respect our rings. There was very much like, just, you should look at us with respect, not keep popping off every time it led to the Christmas Day game. I mean, all of this was a big deal.
Yep.
And so, there's history between these franchises, and it would, if we ended up in another 7-game series against them in the Western Conference playoffs at some point, I would always enjoy that.
Me too.
I can appreciate excellence, and that franchise has been the symbol of excellence for more than a decade now, or at least much of the past decade. And Steph Curry still operating at an extremely high level. So that'll be a fun one tonight, 7 o'clock. Inside FedExForum. Among the Grizzlies storylines, and this is starting to, you see it a lot on social media after games. I've seen it in the YouTube chat during the show. A lot of Desmond Bane slander out there because he obviously has not been playing at the level at which we're used to seeing him play. The shooting percentages are undeniable. And, every time it comes up, I and other people say things like, he's clearly healthy enough to play because he's been playing. So we don't have to argue about that. Is Desmond Bane healthy enough to be on a basketball court? Yes, he's on a basketball court. But is he actually healthy? Healthy enough to feel the way you need to feel to be what it is he needs to be for this franchise to be what it wants to become? And there's a lot of reasons to think the answer to that is no. He hasn't said it. Taylor Jenkins hasn't said it. They're not going to go on the record with it. Perhaps they won't even go off the record with it. But when you have an oblique injury and you are a shooter, you can, I think, connect some dots pretty easily and reach a conclusion that one thing could be connected to the other. I saw this floating around social media yesterday from an account on the X called GrizzLead. It's at Grizz_lead. When I stumble into these things, I always want to give proper credit. I don't ever want to insinuate that I'm out there breaking down these numbers on my own. I mean, I guess I could, but in this case, I didn't. I just stole it straight from at Grizz_lead. So shouts to at Grizz_lead. But that account did a breakdown of Desmond Bane pre-oblique injury and post-oblique injury.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
And it's just pretty dramatic. Before he suffered this injury, this specific injury, he was averaging 21 points per game, shooting 49.2% from the field on 16.3 field goal attempts per game, and he was making 40% of his three-point attempts, and he was shooting 7.5 of them per game. Those are we'll take those numbers. Mm-hmm. Those are good numbers. Then he suffers the oblique injury. Misses time, comes back. Since he's been back, here are the numbers. 12.9 points per game on 42% shooting from the field. Field goal attempts per game down from 16.3 to 11.6. Three-point percentage down from 40% to 27.8%. Three-pointers attempted per game down from 7.5 to 5.1. He's not getting up as many shots. He's not making as good of a percentage from inside the arc, from outside the arc. Everything is down. And Jess and I last Friday were talking about Occam's razor, right? Which is the idea that when you're trying to figure out an explanation for something. Why did this thing happen? Why is this thing happening? The smartest thing you can do typically is just look for the most obvious explanation. That's usually the right one. Not always, obviously, but it's usually the right one. So, Bennett, I'll ask you. Let's play a game.
Mm.
What is the most obvious explanation for Desmond Bane going from shooting 40% from three to 27.8% from three, from 7.5 3-point attempts per game down to 5.1 3-point attempts per game? Is it because he forgot how to shoot? Is that the most obvious explanation?
No.
No, I don't think so either.
No, I mean, I just refuse to believe that a guy that's been awesome for this franchise for 4 years is like not good anymore.
Okay, so we don't think he forgot how to shoot. We don't think he's not good anymore. Do we think he got less aggressive for some reason? That's why he's not taking as many shots.
I don't know. That's
let me help.
Yeah.
Occam's razor. What's the most obvious explanation for why Desmond Bane is a lesser player since returning from oblique injury?
He ain't 100%.
He doesn't feel the way he normally feels when he is normally great. That is the most obvious explanation. Perhaps he won't say it. I never understand why athletes aren't more willing to just open up about this stuff. Although I guess the easy answer to that would be because then there's a slew of fans. It might not be you, Gary, but there's a slew of fans who will interpret that as somebody's making excuses, and nobody wants to hear excuses when you're making $1 billion. And I guess I understand that. But, like, I also am understanding of sometimes you are healthy enough to play, but not healthy enough to feel comfortable, and that can impact your performance. And so if Desmond Bane were to say out loud on the record, I want to play, that's why I'm out there, but I still don't feel like myself, and I'm struggling, I'm going to get it back. But if you're trying to figure out why I'm shooting 27.8% from three since returning from injury, I don't feel like myself. I'm not in rhythm. I'm not as comfortable as I need to be. I'm getting close. I feel better. I hope I don't have to step away again. But obviously, the goal is to shoot 40%, not 27.8. And the main reason I'm not shooting 40% anymore is because I hurt something and I'm back, but I'm still not right. If he said that, I would understand that. That makes sense to me. Would fans really object to him saying that, or somebody else saying that on his behalf?
I mean, I think you're right. I don't think they would. It's probably just more of like a pride thing. I don't know.
I see, this is where, again, maybe my mind works differently, but like pride thing, fine, whatever that means. I would rather people know from my mouth I'm not feeling perfect, as opposed to just people out there slandering me nonstop, telling me I suck and I don't deserve my paycheck. I'd rather be like, hey, I'm hurt. You want me to just sit out for 2 more weeks? I could just put on, a sport coat and sit on the bench for 2 weeks, and maybe you guys will stop saying I suck. I'm hurt. I'm playing hurt. I would rather people know I'm playing hurt than think I'm just playing shitty. And then right now, that's where we're at. The chat thinks Desmond Bane doesn't deserve the contract he's got or needs to be moved out. And I know those are excessive, dramatic opinions that do not line up with any sensible thing, but they still exist. It doesn't mean they don't exist. And I would rather people know I'm playing through something. That's why I'm playing this way, as opposed to just every time I play a game and miss some shots, people are asking what's wrong with me when the answer is probably pretty obvious.
Yeah, I agree completely.
All right, Bennett. We got a 7:00 tip tonight inside FedExForum. Mike Wallace is going to be there. The Warriors are in town. He'll help us get ready for it next. Gary Parrish Show. I'm in New York. Bennett's in Memphis. We're presented by Ortho South.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
I want to throw a party just so I can be in control of the aux cord, just so I can force everybody to listen to the Wicked soundtrack. Both of these actresses in Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo I thought it showed how they have experience performing live and on screen, both of them.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Get the squad together for this year's Junior Grizzlies 3-on-3 tournament, presented by 2K at the Built Ford Tough practice facility inside FedExForum. On Saturday, January 4th, teams will compete in 3 games before advancing to single elimination play. Overall winners from the 10 and under, 12 and under, and 14 and under divisions will win Grizzlies tickets, including exclusive access to the pregame team shoot-around before the Grizz take on the Pelicans January 24th. Sign up today at hoopitup.com/Grizzlies.
Grizzlies are just having fun out there tonight. Morant around a screen, bumped by Wagner. No look to Smart, lays it up on the window and in, and it is all Grizz. The Grizzlies have the fans on their feet at FedExForum.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South. I'm in New York City. Bennett Doyle back inside the Built Ford Tough studio. Mike Wallace joins us live from Memphis, Tennessee, where tonight the Grizzlies will host the Golden State Warriors inside FedExForum. 7 o'clock tip. Grizz favored by 2.5. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com. Mike Wallace is GP. How you doing on this? I think it's Thursday. How you doing on this Thursday?
Yeah, I lose track of time and days too, man. It's all good. But I did know it was a day, the last couple of days you weren't in the office. You know why? Because someone parked next to me who was absolutely straight and narrow inside the lines and everything. And I was like, that could not be Gary Parrish. So I know he's not.
All right, hold on. Be honest. Am I a bad parker?
Yes, absolutely.
No question.
I didn't know this about myself. I didn't know this about what do I do? What do I do? What's the worst thing that I do? Tell me.
You don't straighten out your wheels at the front. You park and you leave it as you turn in, right? So it's like you turn, you spin and then you turn off the ignition. Just
you
like
don't
that.
adjust. You don't adjust, GP.
Are you supposed to straighten your wheels? Is that something people do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're supposed to pull inside the lines first and foremost, right? And then straighten the wheels. But it's one of those things, man. You're a work in progress, just like all of us, man. So I
have never even thought about straightening my wheels when I park. Nobody has ever told me this. This is not something I know. Why did nobody teach me this? I don't know what you're even talking about.
And you know what's funny? I walked outside one day and I saw a car, same color as yours, and it was parked perfectly beside mine. And then I saw John Roser get out. So I knew it was. I was like, okay, so not only do we have a bad parker, we also have a parking spot bandit who's stealing parking spaces when you're not there. So it's chaos all over the place there, man.
I apologize. I didn't know I was bad at this. Is not something I knew about myself. I mean, I know I have shortcomings. I'm aware of a lot of them, but I didn't know this is one of them. I didn't know I was a terrible parker, Bennett. Except I did. Okay, maybe this. I'm starting to figure some stuff out now. One of the things I have noticed about myself, whether I'm at FedExForum, Memphis International, a restaurant, if I'm driving and I pull into a parking spot like this, when I go to pull out of the parking spot, even if I need to pull out the other way and go back this way, I always pull out the same way that I pulled in, even if I have to then turn all the way around and go. And that's because I didn't straighten my wheels, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. And we talked about this.
Son of a bitch.
Listen, your state of mind tells me what, the way you park tells me what state of mind you're in when you're coming into the office.
I'm just trying to get where I need to be as quickly as possible.
You'll figure out how to get out. You'll figure out how to get out once you get back in, right?
And that is symbolic of my entire life. That's the way I live my life. I don't worry about any. I need to park here as quickly as possible and get to where I need to be now and do what I need to do now, and I will worry about everything else after I do what I need to do now. That is actually symbolic of how I live my life. I take one task at a time, I complete it, and then I look up and I go, all right, what's now what? What's next? What's next on the agenda? And my parking is a representation of my lifestyle. What do we do? This is therapy. I'm learning some stuff.
Well, I tell you what, pay your copay on the way out and schedule the next appointment with Bennett for next Wednesday or Thursday. We're Thursdays now, Thursday at 10:30.
Hey, this has been helpful. I promise you, when I get back to town, the next time you pull in and you see parking spot 2015, my front wheels are going to be so straight. I'm gonna start straightening my wheels, man. You're going to be proud of me. You're going to see that I'm coachable. I'm coachable. I want coaching. I'm not somebody who doesn't want coaching. I'm not the prima donna who doesn't want to be coached. I want to be coached, and you're going to see that I'm coachable. You only have to tell me one time. I'm going to straighten my wheels from now on.
Hey, man, all good, man. That's funny. That's absolutely funny.
Grizzlies and Warriors are inside FedExForum tonight, 7 o'clock. Hey, how do we feel about the Warriors? Do we respect them as a dynasty, or do we hate them as a rival?
I think that dynasty stuff is old now. These aren't the dynasty Warriors anymore. Yeah, we still see Steve Kerr, we still see Steph Curry, we still see Draymond Green, but that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you respect what they did, but this team was a dynasty, 7, 8 years ago? Like, we've had what do we have? 7 or 8 different NBA champions over the last 8 years. No one has repeated since then. So it's one of those situations where you respect what they've done in the past. But so many of these guys that are on the Grizzlies roster right now weren't even in the league when the Warriors were a dynasty. You know what I mean? During the late 20 teens and that kind of thing. So hey, respect them. You know they're dangerous. You know that they've beaten you. They've beaten you the same way, different ways. I mean, they're hitting the 3-point ball. They're getting backdoor cuts. When you overplay them to shoot threes, they're getting everything they need to get at the paint and in the mid-range. So it's different ways. They psychologically have been more competitive. They've psyched you out of a couple of games, recently as well, too. They won 3 straight. But the Grizzlies are in position to take this victory. They're a team that's playing. They've won 10 out of their last 12. The Warriors have lost 8 out of their last 10. So these teams are trending in opposite directions right now.
When a franchise has won 4 championships and the guy who was the face of all 4, or at least one of the 2 faces of all 4, with proper respect to Kevin Durant, is still operating at a high level, people always wonder, can they get another one? And I think the answer is probably no. Like, I would bet against it, although I think most people would have probably bet against it heading into the 2021-22 season, and they added one then. Where are you at on the Warriors with Steph Curry as the centerpiece? Can they get another banner before he retires?
If I'm betting on that, I would say no. I would bet against it. I didn't see the most recent one coming in 2022 either, particularly going up against that Boston team that I thought was ready to really hit their stride. And Boston ended up winning last year, so it took them 2 more years to get to their peak. But I thought they were the better overall team, even when they played the Warriors. But having said that, they pulled together that championship pride, man. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green had one more run in them. And then Andrew Wiggins was the guy that got them over the top in that situation. So, I won't count them out in terms of being a threat. I wouldn't want to see them in a 7-game series because of their veteran experience and how tough it is to beat them there, especially in the playoffs, at the Chase Center. The Grizzlies have had a tough time winning there. But having said all of that, you look at this team. They turn the ball over quite a bit. Their lineups have been shaky all season long. Steph Curry has been the constant, but everybody else has been sort of up and down. And that's, that speaks to they're in a transition. And again, you respect them because you just like when Jake Paul got in the ring with Tyson, no matter how old Tyson is, you got to respect that with one punch, he can knock you out, right? No matter how old he is. And if he connects and the timing of that punch lands in a certain spot, you're going night-night, right? And that's how the Warriors are. On a certain night, when they're having their game right, they can beat anybody in the league, but you just have to overwhelm them with what you do. And I think the Grizzlies have the tools to do it. And I think we should be able to see that come to fruition tonight.
The timing on this is interesting. It was a week ago when Dennis Schroeder was in FedExForum as a member of the Brooklyn Nets, having back and forth with Taylor Jenkins, among others. He subsequently moved to Golden State. He's not on the status report as of this morning. Everything I've seen suggests that he's expected to be in uniform and make his debut with the Warriors tonight. Is that a needle mover for Golden State, the addition of Dennis Schroeder?
I think it is because of what they have not been able to get from, Moody. Moses Moody has been a guy that's kind of fallen out of the rotation, fallen out of favor, and now he's hurt. You've seen Buddy Hield have some great moments and some inconsistent moments. What they're trying to avoid having to do is play Gary Payton II a lot in the backcourt with Steph Curry off the ball, right? That's not an ideal solution for he's a defender, but he's not necessarily a facilitator. So now with Dennis Schroeder, you have two interchangeable guys in Steph Curry and Dennis Schroeder who can dribble, drive, pass, shoot, and facilitate, right? So all of those things come together. They have an extra weapon there. Schroeder gives them a little bit more than what even Chris Paul gave them last year. So this is an upgrade for sure. I don't know what it does for them defensively. Schroeder's a good individual defender at his position, but I don't know the length and the size can certainly put you at a disadvantage because they get smaller in that situation. DeAnthony Melton has been lost for the season to surgery. So they needed another boost right there. And that three-guard lineup that they have right now with Buddy Hield, Steph Curry, and Dennis Schroeder are all guys that can knock down the three-point shot, can all handle, can all play at pace. So this is an upgrade for them, and it could be potentially a headache if they play at their pace.
Most NBA insiders believe Jimmy Butler will be the biggest name to be moved at the trade deadline. When you start talking about where Golden State comes up, you can do a Google search for LeBron James, Golden State. That'll get you some returns. Do you think the Warriors will make one more big move to try to take this thing to the next level, or is trying to obtain Jimmy Butler or LeBron James just too complicated?
I sense it'll be too complicated. Like this move that worked with Dennis Schroeder, they got a big time return on what they gave out. They essentially gave up second round picks, right? Any team, any contender in the league would have taken that deal. So credit Golden State for having the relationships with the Nets front office to be able to pull that kind of deal off. They really didn't take back much. The Nets didn't take back much that they can even bank for going into the future other than, some second round capital in that situation. But a move like a Jimmy Butler is going to require, especially a team in the apron, in the luxury tax penalty zone, like the Warriors are, to do some extraordinary things to get to get enough room and a maneuverability to make a move like that. It's going to be so complicated. What does Miami want back? It's not like Miami wants to give up Jimmy Butler and then, tank the rest of the season. They still want to be a playoff caliber team. So what does Golden State have to give up that will entice Miami to make that kind of move? So you have all of those things coming into play when you're talking about Jimmy Butler. I do think he will be moved. I do think you also got to look at Portland as a team that's going to make some big time moves with Grant. I do think you have to look at the Washington Wizards that can come off of Jordan Poole or Kuzma or Valanciunas. And Atlanta, they're in that tricky zone right there. They're playing really well, and they're still dangling some of their pieces out there as well too. So those are the teams that I think are the most ripe to make a move. Don't discount Detroit. Detroit is another team right there too that'll be in the mix for this.
Last thing before I get you out of here, wrapping up with Mike Wallace, Grind City Media. Desmond Bane has been a big topic of conversation with the Grizzlies. I talked about it in the opening segment. Before he suffered the oblique injury, he was shooting 40% from three, averaging 21 points per game. He was looking, for the most part, like Desmond Bane. Suffered the injury, misses some time, comes back. The percentages have plummeted down to 28.7% from three. Is that the explanation? He's just not right. And if that is the explanation, is there any consideration to maybe sitting him down and letting him heal a little more before putting him back out there consistently?
Well, I talked to Desmond Bane on his route back, right? Like when we were in Philadelphia, as a matter of fact, and he was walking up the street, trying to find something to eat one day, and I was coming out of a restaurant he was going into on an off day in Philly, and it was in the midst of him almost getting ready to come back from that oblique. And you just knew that there's really no time frame to come back from an injury like that. It's all about what you're willing to tolerate. Your body's thrown off. And I think it's taken a little bit longer for Des to find his rhythm. partially because of the recovery from this and the way he plays. He's such a torque-heavy guy. He likes to get downhill. He's built, almost like a safety. So he's going to have those muscles and that core. Everything is going to be so tight and so explosive in terms of every move that he makes. He's doing it with so much force. And I think sometimes when you're not right at your core, it impacts everything else. He's a rhythm guy when it comes to his shooting, and he's been out of rhythm. He'd be the first one to tell you that. But what he told me at that time and what he's repeated to me since then is that I trust the work that I'm putting in. The results may not come day after day after day, but the work that I'm putting in is consistent day after day after day. And this was the same work I was putting in when I was at the top of my game, and I'm going to believe in that. So I do think he's struggling with the rhythm. I do think that there's a rotation situation. The minutes have kind of been here and there. All of that are factors in it, but I don't think you sit him down unless he's really, really at a medical disadvantage for being out there. I think you just let a guy like that at this stage of his career play through it because he's earned the right to be able to do that. He knows his body better than anyone else, and he trusts the front office and the medical staff to handle him. I think Dez will come out of this. He's too good of a player, too good of an all-around player to let this sort of hurt him and haunt him throughout the rest of this stretch right here. He probably needs some time, and hopefully these last 2 weeks with only 2 games over a 10-day stretch will help him get back into it.
That is Mike Wallace, senior editor, Grind City Media. He's on X at MyMikeCheck, on X at MyMikeCheck. Buddy, I appreciate your time. I just didn't know that about myself, that I was such a poor Parker. It's not something anybody's ever brought to my attention, perhaps out of kindness. I'm going to get better at it. You're going to see that I'm coachable. You're going to see that I'm coachable. I feel like this should have come up in a review with Pugs or somebody, but you're going to see that I'm coachable. I'm going to get better. You're going to notice a change real quick.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. That's all America wants, man. That's all we want is the best of Gary.
That's right. I'm gonna give it to you. I can't promise you I've always given my best effort, but I'm gonna start now. I'm never too late. I'm gonna start now. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon.
All right. Happy holidays to you, baby.
Happy holidays. That's Mike Wallace, Grind City Media. We come back. Another big road win. ACC opponent for Penny Hardaway's Tigers. Wasn't quad 1, but it was quad 2, and it was the type of thing that provides real momentum heading into this weekend's game against Mississippi State inside FedExForum. It'll be on CBS and the big stage that America's most watched network, the network of stars, provides. All good things with the Tigers right now. We'll talk about it next. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
There was a tweet from NBA G League that Cam Spencer was, quote, unconscious. Cam Spencer had 51 points on 75% shooting. The Grizzlies front office ability to find talent late in the draft continues to be a massive, massive positive for this team.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
This month's 191 Collabs, presented by Hennessy, is bringing Grizz Nation an all-star matchup it won't want to miss. Renowned fashion designer Prep Curry and Grizzlies forward Jaren Jackson Jr. have teamed up for a 6-piece collection that's as eclectic and unique as the city they both call home. These limited edition threads won't last long and are only available on FedExForum Thursday, December 19th, when the Grizzlies take on the Golden State Warriors at 7 o'clock. Buy your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com or the FedExForum box office.
Hoop on the Grizzlies home court at Junior Grizzlies Game Day Clinics, presented by Ortho South. Clinics are open to kids ages 6 to 14 and last 60 minutes. The next clinic tips off December 23rd, the same day the Grizzlies play the Clippers. All skill levels are welcome, from beginner to competitive athlete. Sign up now before spots sell out at grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies. Registration includes a Junior Grizzlies t-shirt and 2 tickets to the game that day.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled. Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays and the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Final score, Memphis 64, Virginia 62. That was inside John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. It's another nice victory for the Tigers on the road against an ACC opponent. So down they're 9-2, Big Bennett, 3-0 away from home. And I told you earlier this week, Bennett, that the Tigers had 5 quadrant 1 wins, tied with Auburn for best in the entire nation after last night winning again on the road against an ACC opponent to improve to 9-2. Take a guess how many quadrant 1 wins the Tigers got now.
I'm going to say the exact same amount.
3, actually. They're down to 3.
What? We lost one?
We lost 2.
What? How?
Who lost? Actually, well, it's not always connected to losing and winning. Sometimes people get real confused by how these numbers work, myself included, by the way. It can get confusing. But I had a buddy send me the other day, like Memphis's KenPom rating and some other schools' KenPom rating. And the point somebody on Twitter was trying to make is that KenPom must be the dumbest person on the planet to have this team with this record ranked ahead of Memphis with this record. And the problem, of course, is that KenPom doesn't consider wins and losses in any sort of meaningful way. It's mostly about offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. And, whether you win a game by 1 point or lose a game by 1 point matters almost none. It matters in a dramatic way from your record, right, in your resume, and whether it's a quad 1 win or a quad 1 loss. But a 1 point win or a 1 point loss is not going to impact your KenPom rating at all. Okay. So wins and losses are not that important. Gotcha. So sometimes this can get a little confusing. It's not always about somebody wins or somebody loses. Winning doesn't necessarily move you up, and losing doesn't necessarily move you down. You ready for this? Memphis won yesterday at Virginia and actually moved down in the net. Won at Virginia and went from 30th in the net down to 33 in the net. So Bennett's upset with math. I get it. But to answer your initial question, what happened? Missouri dropped outside of the top 30 of the net. Missouri was inside the top 30.
Okay.
And a home win over the Tigers. Those Tigers, as long as they're inside the top 30, that's quadrant 1. Second, they slip outside of the top 30. It falls to quadrant 2. They're now 35th in the net. So that flipped from a quadrant 1 to a quadrant 2. Similarly, San Francisco on a neutral court. Nice win for the Tigers. As long as San Francisco's inside the top 50, that's a quadrant 1 win. San Francisco has, over the course of this week, slipped to 55, which drops it down to a quadrant 2 win. So that's the explanation. You would have 5 if Missouri and San Francisco stayed quadrant 1, but they have, at least temporarily, slipped to quadrant 2. That's how you go down to 3. Either way, that's way beside the point. The point should be this. What we have described, Bennett, you and I, as the most important 4-game stretch of Penny Hardaway's Division I college coaching career is off to an awesome start. It was going to include a road game at Clemson, a road game at Virginia, a home game against Mississippi State, a home game against Ole Miss. what we said heading into it. And keep in mind, heading into it, they were coming off of a home loss to Arkansas State. We didn't know where this was going. What we said going into it is we take 3-1. You could live with 2-2. You could live with 2-2. You wouldn't want it to be win the first 2, lose the next 2, because you wouldn't want to lose back-to-back home games on Saturdays to Mississippi schools. You just right. To feel good about yourself, you don't want to have to go through that. Not in the holiday season, right? So we could debate the different combinations that you could live with 2-2, but we had both kind of reached the conclusion you'd take 3-1, you could live with 2-2. Anything less than that, we need to talk. But 2-2 you could take, 3-1 we would live with. Now look, Bennett, it's December 19th in this important 4-game stretch. A 4-game stretch we have called the most important of Penny Hardaway's coaching career. The worst they can do now is 2-2. The worst they can do now is what we already said we would be comfortable with. Now, we don't want it to be, this great 2-game stretch to be erased by home losses to Mississippi State and Ole Miss, but you have done enough, I guess this would be my point, to avoid what anybody could reasonably call a disaster. Like, the worst case scenario after the Ole Miss game is that you are 9-4 with 3 losses to top 25 teams, and then that bad quad 3 loss to Arkansas State. And you also have big wins over Michigan State, UConn, San Francisco, Missouri, Clemson. Like, even the worst case scenario coming out of the Ole Miss game right now is not that bad. It's still like if the worst case scenario coming out of Ole Miss right now would be 9-4. And I think preseason, if you're a Memphis fan, you might have taken 9-4 through the first 13 games. So this is going well, and there's a chance it could continue to go brilliantly, because though either one of these next 2 games are, either one is obviously losable. What is also true is they're both winnable, and Memphis should be favored in both of them. Right now at KenPom, 79-77 projected winner over Mississippi State, 78-76 projected winner over Ole Miss. That suggests the Tigers should be 2-point favorites in both games, coin flip games for the most part. But even if you come out of this at 9-4, it's not a disaster. You got a chance to come out of this at 11-2, and at that point you're probably ranked in the top 15, maybe even in the top 10. And the way they were able to win it last night, I thought was really important.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
They've been shooting the ball unusually well from 3-point range. Entered last night 44.3% from beyond the arc. It ranks 2nd in the country. Last night they couldn't really make shots from the perimeter. 5 of 23 as a team from 3. Colby Rogers was 0 of 8 from 3, 1 of 11 from the field. Tyrese Hunter 2 of 8 from 3. PJ Haggerty 1 of 3 from 3. All of these guys had been shooting near or above 40%, career highs from beyond the arc. None of them shot it well last night, and you were still able to go on the road and win a game against a proud ACC program that is clearly down now. We don't have to lie to each other. That is not Tony Bennett and DeAndre Hunter and Cal Guy you were playing against last night. It was Ron Sanchez and a bunch of dudes who are never going to accomplish much at Virginia, it does not appear. But still, that's a road win over a Virginia program that has won in recent years ACC titles, obviously a national championship, and to go in there and win it on the road when you don't shoot well, when your best players don't perform, at least offensively, the way you need them to consistently to be great, that's a wonderful sign. Penny Hardaway can actually look at his team now and say, we can go on the road and beat ACC teams when we don't even make shots. That's a sign of a good team. Like any team can go beat somebody when they make a bunch of shots.
Yep.
And that is usually the recipe for upsets. How did this team upset that team? Look at the 3-point numbers. Did they make 12 of 25? That's usually how this kind of stuff happens. What does it say about you when your best players don't play well offensively? You can't make shots the way you've been making them this season. You go down. You're behind, trailing much of the game. But you're able to settle yourself, storm back in the second half, and escape. If you want to use that as the word, fine with me. Escape with a 64-62 victory. That was impressive last night. on some level as impressive as anything else Memphis has done this season. Again, when you were shooting as a team above 44% from three, you're going to win a lot of games, beat a lot of people. Can you beat people when you don't play well, when you don't shoot well? In a single elimination tournament, which is what ultimately you want to be involved in at the end of this thing, if you're trying to go to an Elite Eight, a Final Four, usually you got to win a game. Every coach will tell you this. You got to win a game when you don't play well. Can you do it? Great teams can. Great teams can win when they don't play well. Memphis won last night when it didn't play well. And though the KenPom numbers and some of the other advanced metrics are not great, the strength of record continues to be 7th in the country. KPI, they're literally ranked number 1 in the country. They are building the type of resume that if they can do good stuff against Mississippi State and Ole Miss, avoid embarrassing stuff in the league schedule, they're not only going to cruise into the NCAA tournament, they should be able to cruise into the NCAA tournament and perhaps compete for something as high as, a 2 seed or a 3 seed. Let's get through these next 2 games and see where we're at. But if you can sweep Mississippi State and Ole Miss and add 2 more Quadrant 1 wins, and then maybe get Missouri and San Francisco to cross that barrier where they can flip back to Quadrant 1 wins, now you're starting to create a resume that can not only get you a comfortable at-large bid, that can have you in conversations to be seated really, really high when Jerry Palm and Joe Lunardi and people like that start, updating their projected brackets on a pretty regular basis.
Number 2.
On CBS Sports Network last night, I was in studio. We had a fun night. Georgetown-Creighton in our first game. Georgetown wins, might be back under Ed Cooley. It's been a while since that program has been relevant. They blew out Creighton last night, and Creighton had just beaten number 1 Kansas a couple of weeks ago. So that was an interesting first game, but the real fun one was the second one. Alabama was playing at North Dakota, and if you're just looking at your CBS Sports app on your phone, you might have gone, why is number 6 Alabama playing at North Dakota? Well, the answer is because Alabama's got a player named Grant Nelson who's from North Dakota, grew up there, a place called Devil's Lake. It's about 90 minutes away from the University of North Dakota campus. He played at North Dakota State for I believe 3 years, and then transferred to Alabama. He was a key part of that Final Four team last season, and among other things, to get him to return to Alabama for one more season of college basketball, Nate Oates said, hey, why don't I schedule a game back in your home state? You could play one more time in the state of North Dakota, in front of your friends and family. So, okay, let's do it. And that game was scheduled for last night. Now, North Dakota is not good. They entered the game with a losing record, ranked in the 300s of the net. And yet, first half, Alabama finds itself down by 9. The building's on fire, capacity crowd, people, standing in lines waiting to get in. By making this game, taking the University of Alabama to North Dakota, you've created what John Calipari used to always talk about when Memphis and Derrick Rose would go to East Carolina or Southern Miss or something like that. What was the saying? We're everybody's Super Bowl. Well, when you create an Alabama game at North Dakota, you're creating North Dakota's Super Bowl. And they went in there and they got down by 9. And the main reason was because this 6'6" guard named Trayson Eaglestaff got going. Ended up taking 30 shots in the game, made 15 of them. He sank 8 threes, got 40 points on them, and nearly led North Dakota to an upset. North Dakota was a 25.5-point favorite. This was very much like a 1 versus 16 game in the NCAA tournament where it gets unusually tight and some mid-major guard you've never heard of just starts banging home threes. It felt a lot like Kentucky-Oakland in last season's NCAA tournament, except it was happening in December only because Nate Oates wanted to take Grant Nelson back to North Dakota. So as I wrote in the top 25 and 1 this morning, it is awesome that Nate did this for Grant. Like, he created a real moment for Grant and his family, and I wish more coaches would do stuff like this. Roy Williams at North Carolina used to do it all the time. But if you're ever wondering why coaches won't do things like this, or at least they're hesitant to do it, it's because of what they endured last night. You find yourself, oh, wow, my players just think they're playing a losing record North Dakota team. They're not fired up for this. We're used to playing at Auburn, at Kentucky, at Tennessee. My guys are not fired up to come to North Dakota. But holy God, they're fired up for us to be here.
Yep.
This place is on fire. This is the game they've been looking for. Now you're just in a fight. You didn't even know it was going to be a fight. You're in a fight. You didn't even know you were in a fight. Now you're fighting. They storm back, win the game because, as Nate Oates said at some point, we just were more talented, so we should be okay. And they were okay. But it was a one-possession game in the final minute, and Trayson Eaglestaff, as I wrote, he's a North Dakota native, so he might just be happy at North Dakota. He might have the perfect life set up for him, and he couldn't leave there for nothing. But, buddy, if you ever wanted to make $1 million playing college basketball, that's the way to do it. Go put 40 points on Alabama while making 8 threes on national television. I wouldn't be surprised if Nate Oates in the handshake line said, son, I've been willing to bring North Dakota transfers back to North Dakota to play a game in front of their friends and family. If you got any interest in being a member of the Crimson Tide, plus I got $800,000 in NIL. No exaggeration. Trayson Eaglestaff last night went from somebody most people who even cover and follow college basketball don't know to somebody who will get offers in excess of $500,000 to play college basketball next season based off of what he did last night. And not only because he made shots last night, it'll be because he made shots last night against Alabama, and then it forces you to take a closer look. Who is this guy? 6'6". He's been scoring at this level. Oh, wow. Yeah, we should try to get him. If you're Tennessee, this is who you target. We just got Dalton Connect, turned him into an All-American. Now we got Chaz Lanier, turning him into an All-American. Trayson Eaglestaff, you want to be the next one? Come on down to Knoxville. By this performance last night, this young man went from somebody who was maybe just going to finish a 4-year career at North Dakota in complete anonymity. Now you and I are talking about him. Everybody in college basketball is talking about him. And if he's making $1 million in the Big 12 or the SEC next season, it should surprise absolutely nobody. That's the state of college athletics.
Number 3.
Your Tennessee Titans coach is big mad. He's big mad.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he so mad, Brian Callahan?
Well, I mean, he's got a bad football team in his first season as a head coach. Yeah,
that'll do it, man. Yeah. That'll do it. So Brian Callahan's the coach of the Tennessee Titans. Whether he should be or not is up for debate, but he is as of this moment. And as you know, if you've been listening to Bennett just rant and rave all season, they ain't been good. They're not quite bad enough to get the number 1 pick, but they ain't good enough to do nothing.
And we're close.
But not there yet. All right. Probably not going to be bad enough to get the number 1 pick, but you ain't good enough to make anybody feel good about anything.
Yeah.
And this is all starting to boil over in Nashville. And there's a press conference moment yesterday. A reporter asked Brian Callahan about all the people who were saying maybe this Tennessee Titans team is soft. And Bennett, you guide me here. I think we have a bleeped out version of Brian Callahan's roughly 2-minute answer.
Yeah, I believe so. I hope it's bleeped.
Yeah, if it's not, we apologize in advance.
Thank you, Kyra. Yeah,
here's Brian Callahan.
There are a lot of folks who think this team is soft physically and mentally. How would you respond to that idea?
I mean, you really want to get me going today? Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's complete and total. If you want my honest opinion, these guys are tough, man. They go after it every day. They play hard as hell, and there's at no point have we ever put on tape at any point this season that this is a soft football team. Like I can't even wrap my mind around how that would even be a conversation. I mean, just because we don't win games doesn't mean we're soft. These guys play their off. They play hard. They play physical. You can ask any team that plays against us that when they come off the field, they know they played us. Yeah, that makes me relatively angry that would be some presumption. That means you just don't, you don't do anything about it, that you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're looking at. So I'm not going to stand for anybody calling this football team soft. So if there's opinions out there that feel that way, then, they don't know anything about NFL football. So I'd like you to walk in there and call one of these guys soft and see what happens. This is not a soft football team at all, mentally or physically. And I think one of the things mentally that's really been impressive about the team is that the way that they keep fighting through the way that this season has gone. They've not shown at any point that they're not up to the task. They come out every day and work. They have. I mean, I'm really. You're gonna really get me going now. I mean, these guys come out here and they do everything possible to win games. And if there's any assumption anywhere that's outside of this building. Again, we don't focus on all those things, but there's no possible explanation to say that this team is soft any way, shape, or form, mentally or physically. And the way that they go about their work it's insulting to me, to them, to everyone that works here. So I'm not that no chance ever in hell would I ever admit that to be the case, and neither would anybody in this locker room. So you can kind of shove that one honest. So.
He made it all the way to the end, and then he just couldn't help himself. Like, can you imagine talking for 2 minutes, and you're clearly irritated, but you haven't quite told anybody yet to shove anything up their ass. You still stop short of that, and then just, like, by the time you get to the end, like, you've been fighting it the whole time, and you're like, you know what? F it. Take that question, shove it straight up your ass. What'd you make of Brian Callahan?
I think so. My thoughts on him all season so far have been, like, I'm not sure if he's a good NFL coach. I think he'll probably get a second season, whatever. In that situation, I think he's 100% in the right. I think that is such a lame question. That reporter is trying to get a reaction there. Like, there is just...
Well, he got one. Yeah,
he got one. Like, dude, it's just a BS question. Like, it's not... You're not getting anything out of that, asking, are your players soft? No, of course they're not friggin' soft. They play in the NFL, for God's sakes. Like, it'd be like if somebody went in the Grizzlies locker room if they lost to the Warriors tonight, and somebody went in the locker room and asked John Morant, hey, the streets are saying you're soft because you lost that game tonight. Like, what? Come on.
First off, like, I got no respect for somebody who wants to frame it that way, because you're being a little B to frame it that way. You're not asking that question because people are saying it. You're asking that question because you think it.
Yes, exactly.
But you're too chicken shit to say, Coach, when I watch this team, it looks soft to me. Mm-hmm. You can't do that, but you believe that. So the way you'll frame it, the way you'll bring it to the table is you'll say, hey, Coach, when people say, and there are people out there, and when the people out there are saying things like this team is soft, how do you respond to that? That's a chicken shit way to do it.
It really is.
So, like, either stand on it or don't. But that's not a question you're asking because I can't believe people out there are saying this stuff, but they are, so I guess I'll take it to Coach. No, it's what you believe. It's what you mumble to yourself when you're watching the team, and you want to ask the coach about it, but you don't want to say, you don't want to be confrontational, so you sort of, hey, Coach, I just sort of it's like I'm taking questions from the audience.
And here's
one I just got from the audience. I'll just read it to you. That's chicken shit. I don't like that. Beyond that, I don't have much use in press conferences for asking questions where you can't get an honest answer. All right? You can get a reaction, and if that's what you're going for, congratulations. I just never been that interested in going for that type of stuff. I never been that interested in asking questions if I don't think you can answer them honestly. I'd rather pull you aside off the record and talk to you to try to gain insight than ask you a question in a public forum where I know you can't answer honestly. Either you don't believe with what I'm presenting, at which point I'm not accomplishing anything. But if you do agree with what I'm presenting, but I know you can't say it out loud, what is the point? So when you ask Brian Callahan if his team is soft, is there any scenario where he or any other coach could say, yes, of course? You can't. So even if you believe your team is soft, you cannot say it. So what is the point of the question? He's not going to say, I see that and I see their point. He's going to defend his team. He's going to do exactly what he did, except maybe he took it a little further than most others would. I think undeniably entertain the question longer than most people would. Ask that same question to Bill Belichick a year ago in New England. He will not give you 2 minutes. Ask that same question to Mike Tomlin. He'll give you 2 words. Coach, what do you say to people who think your team might be soft? I don't say anything to them. I don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah,
they don't know my team.
Yeah, I mean, congrats. Like, if you wanted a reaction, you got one. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have faulted Brian Callahan for just being like, that's a BS question. Next.
Yeah, like most coaches would have. I think PR would instruct you.
Preferred that.
Yes, to keep it quick. You don't need to spend 2 minutes on this, because he spent 2 minutes on this, which is why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a good football coach, just like you don't know if he's a good football coach. I don't mind the way he handled that. He stood up for his guys. I bet you that helped him in the locker room. I don't know.
Did.
It might not. He might be beyond help in the locker room. I have no idea. But I bet you the players watch that same clip we watched and they go, hey man, he went to, he told a reporter to shove that up his ass. He went to bat for us. I don't know that I don't know how much you help yourself by telling reporters that, but I bet you that did help him in the locker room with some people to some extent. I don't mind how he handled it. I would not have handled it that way, I don't think, or at least I would try not to. Keep it short, simple. Handle it the way Mike Tomlin did, and Mike Tomlin would never talk for 2 minutes about that. He would never provide that question with anything that required 2 minutes of his time. I would have probably liked to have leaned more in that direction, but ultimately it was a bad question, a stupid question, a chicken shit question. And if Brian Callahan wanted to spend 2 minutes venting about it, I can understand why.
Number 4.
Bennett, tell me this isn't true. I got friends who are Jets fans. I don't want them to have to deal with this. Latest reporting from The Athletic is that when the Jets were considering a trade for Jerry Jeudy, Woody Johnson, the owner, vetoed the trade, nixed it, said, no, I don't think we're going to do this. And among the reasons was because he didn't like Jerry Jeudy's Madden rating. How could we make a deal for somebody with such a lackluster Madden rating? What the reporting is suggesting is that a trade did not happen in the NFL, in part because of Madden ratings. Can you tell me that's not true, or do you believe that to be true?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he was like dead serious, but I mean, that's what the reporting says, that's true. Which I would say it does sound bad, obviously. It's kind of embarrassing, but is he wrong? I mean, it's not like Jerry Jeudy's been amazing. I know he's had a decent stretch here in Cleveland this season, but it's not like he's been that great, GP. I mean, maybe Woody Johnson's right here.
I don't think we're having a conversation right now about the pros and cons of obtaining a Jerry Jeudy. I think we're having a conversation right now about whether somebody's Madden rating should ever even enter the conversation. Like you and I are running a professional franchise.
Things are pretty
accurate. You and I are sitting around running an NFL franchise, and we're discussing a possible trade. I think the suggestion among Woody Johnson haters would be that while you and I, Bennett, are discussing a trade for a receiver, we could say a million different things, but his Madden rating should never enter the conversation. I think that's what people are upset about. Not that the Jets didn't go out and get a Jerry Jeudy, but because the Madden rating might have played a role, and people don't think a Madden rating should play a role in whether or not you obtain an okay receiver. And I understand that. I think I understand that. You don't understand that?
I guess I understand it. And you can't really give Woody Johnson the benefit of the doubt here just because he appears to be one of the worst owners in the NFL.
I will never understand this for as long as I live. And I guess it's just perhaps I just have a blind spot for it because it happens to people. It's one of those things that happens to people, and yet everybody who's not them says that would never happen to me. But then it happens to people. So of course it could happen to you because it happens to people. And I promise you the people it happens to once upon a time said that would never happen to me. But it happens to people. And here's what I mean exactly. You accumulate enough wealth to buy something that people care deeply about, that people dress in. All right? People dress in this stuff.
Yeah.
They care deeply about it. You accumulate enough wealth to buy something that people care deeply about, and then you run it in such a ridiculous way that you have, if you want to simplify this, used your billions of dollars of wealth to make millions of people hate you. You could just have billions of dollars and be completely anonymous.
Yep.
And just sit on a beach and or just donate money. Just be somebody who gives it away, and the whole world would love you. You could donate it to St. Jude, and people would think you're saving lives, and they would applaud you. But instead, you use your wealth to buy something that people care deeply about, and then you run it so poorly that it makes people hate you. Can you imagine having billions of dollars and then saying, I could use this on anything, and what I'm going to use it on is a football franchise that will make everybody hate me? That just seems like a weird way to live your life.
Yeah, It does to me too. I mean, like it is too. It just seems like it's like the Jerry Jones of the world, the Woody Johnsons. It's the owners that want to be so involved in the personnel decisions with the teams. That typically just never goes well.
I swear to God, if I hit Mega Millions or Powerball, like I think at this point I'd have to do it 2 or 3, maybe like 4 or 5 times, and I could buy a franchise. I'd be visible because I'd want to feel like I'm a part of it, but I'd get out of it, man. I would hire people smarter than me, and I'd get out of the way. I'd say, tell me what you need to be great at what your job is, and that's what I would try to provide them with. I'd be happy to be the face of it, but I would not be I don't think I'd be in the decision-making process. I think I'd stay out of it. I would just try to be the owner that if you saw me, you'd know that's me. But you would never say, I wish he'd get his hands out of the pot. I wish he'd get out of the kitchen. I wish he'd just, I think I've been watching this stuff long enough to know that's the way the best ones do it. They use their money to hire the best people, and then they get out of the way. What's interesting is early in the Robert Parra ownership of the Grizzlies, people used to get frustrated that he wasn't more visible, that he wasn't more available, that he wasn't here as often. That used to be a real thing that like Jeff Calkins would write columns about and do shows about. This was a real thing. When is the last time you heard anybody say anything about like it does not, nobody cares.
Don't hear it, right.
You want to know why? Because Grizzlies fans and the media, here's what we now know about Robert Parra. Perhaps we didn't always know this. And so it was like, I wish he was around more. I wish he was courtside. I wish he would. Here's what we now know about Robert Parra all these years into it. He hires smart people. He gives them all of the resources to do whatever they need to do. And as far as we know, stays out of it. You don't hear. Like, I don't know the last time there was a Robert Parra story.
Right.
But there's a Woody Johnson story every week.
Right.
There's a Jerry Jones story every week.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time there was a Robert Parra story.
Yeah, and it's just because those guys want to be like the face, right?
I think, I don't know. I think whatever sort of arrogance it takes to think you can become a billionaire probably leads you to a place where you think you can run a football franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. And probably so.
And make real good decisions, and you got a buddy who you think's really smart, and they'll have your ear. Like I said, it fails so often that we should all be smart enough to know that's not the way to do it. But we see it happen so often that there has to be some breakdown along the way where you just lose track of yourself. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit like this. Think of this. I bet you every high school, take a sophomore in high school who is an elite basketball player and starting to get attention, all right? I bet you that person thinks to themselves, he's 16 years old, and he thinks to himself, man, if any kid ever wants to take a picture with me, I'll always take a picture with that kid. Man, I'll always make time for everybody because I know what it's like to want a picture with Kevin Durant or LeBron James or John Morant. And so, man, if I'm ever lucky enough to make it, I'll make time for everybody. I'll never disappoint anybody. And then, you get your $200 million contract, and you've taken 7 million pictures with kids, and eventually you're in the restaurant, and a kid comes up, and you're like, hey, not right now. And you go, I said I would never do that, and I just did it. How did I end up here? It just happens. You don't even know. You don't even know it's going to be you. In many cases, you don't even know it is you. But clearly something has to happen along the way where you lose sight of what you once knew was probably smart. You just lose sight of it. And Woody Johnson seems to be the latest example of that. Reportedly, he's running a NFL franchise and nixing trades based off of Madden ratings. And I think we can all agree, even if you respect Madden, you shouldn't be making personnel decisions at the tip top of the sport based off of video game ratings. I think most of us can agree on that.
Number 5.
Bennett, a verdict is in. A verdict is in.
What's going on?
Criminal case that has gripped France.
Oh.
Do you know about this? I
do not, no.
Okay.
Love France. I've been there.
Love France. I've been there too.
Yeah.
This is a wild story, Ben. I don't know if you're ready for this one.
Okay, what's up?
Okay. A verdict is in. That's the first thing you need to know. That's the news hook. A verdict is in today.
Mm-hmm.
So the New York Times does this podcast. It's called The Daily.
Yep.
And it's a daily podcast, and it's about 30 minutes every day, and it's just about some big topic. Some big topics that's in the news. And what they typically do, they have a handful of hosts, and they'll decide we want to talk about the fall of Assad in Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll bring on their Syrian correspondent from the New York Times, and they'll just talk to him for 30 minutes. And it's like somebody with boots on the ground telling you about what happened and why it's important and why you should care. And I just enjoy stuff like this because it's an escape from sports, and I like knowing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy knowing stuff. I enjoy learning stuff. I wish I would have been this way when I was younger. I'd have had better grades probably. But as I've aged, I just enjoy learning things. I really I mean that. I'm not even trying to be whatever. I just enjoy learning stuff. So I listen to this podcast a lot. And yesterday there was an episode about this trial in France that has gripped the country.
Okay.
And maybe I'm just living in my own little world. Maybe it's a statement about Americans that we don't really concern ourselves with what happens outside of our borders. I don't know, but this had largely been off on my radar. I don't think I was familiar. But the centerpiece of the story is this woman named Giselle Pellico. Okay. And she's a grandmother. She's in her 70s. And I'm just going to tell you the story because it's a wild story. So there's this woman named Giselle Pellico. And she's a grandmother. She's been married for like 50 years. Her husband is Dominique Pellico. And they're just a normal family, it appears, in their 70s. By all accounts, it's an idyllic marriage. Like from an outsider, you just like, well, look at them, how sweet, 50 years together. And they were living life and everything was good, except Giselle had encountered some health problems, over the past decade or so. She was losing her hair, having blackouts, and they couldn't quite figure out what was going on. But they had gotten it under control for the most part, and she was just living her life, and they were living their lives, and by all accounts, everything was normal and good. Anyway, one day Dominique is at a grocery store, like a local store. They live in France, small town France, all right? And he's arrested at the store. And he's arrested he's caught with an iPhone, and he's shooting it up women's skirts. He's going under people's skirts and getting videos of women without them knowing, and they catch him doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So they approach him. It's like you're caught. They take his phone. They confiscate his phone. On the phone, they find a lot of troubling stuff, like stuff that shouldn't be on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
That triggers them to execute whatever the equivalent of a warrant would be in France. It might be a warrant. I don't know. Do I look like a lawyer? But whatever the equivalent is of that, they trigger that. They're able to search the home. At the home, they find hard drives and a bunch of stuff with a bunch of stuff on it.
Okay.
So Giselle comes home, and Dominique is there in the home, and he's in tears. And he's like, I got to talk to you. And she's like, yeah, what's going on? He's in tears, and he's clearly upset. She's like, what's going on? And he says, I was arrested today. And she said, oh, my God, for what? And he just breaks down. He can barely say it. And he says, honey, I made a bad mistake. She's like, what? Talk to me. He says, I was caught filming women at the store. I was filming them underneath their skirts. And I don't know. I don't know I don't know why I made a terrible mistake. And please, I need you to understand. And she's like, obviously confused and concerned, but also like, hey, we've had our ups and downs, and I went through my medical stuff, and you stood by me, and like, this is what marriage is, through good times and bad, sickness and health. We'll try to make this work. I'm going to stand by you. And so they go back to just living their life almost as if this didn't even happen. It was just something, but like, we're going to wake up tomorrow. We're back to being Giselle and Dominique, and we're just going to move on with our lives.
Okay.
All right. Well, at some point, the cops come back, and they want to talk to Dominique again. And at this point, they asked Giselle, they said, hey, man, we would like it if you came down to the station as well. And she said, okay, I'll come down, sure. So they come down to the station, immediately take them into different rooms. And they get Giselle alone, and they said, Giselle, so, we are investigator this and that. And, obviously your husband is facing charges. Do you understand the allegations against him? She's like, yeah, I do. I don't even know what to say. It's very embarrassing. Like, my husband was at a store, and he's admitted to me that he was his phone up women's skirts, and he had these videos, and maybe there's an addiction here or something, but we're trying to work through it. But we've been married for a long time. We've been through our ups and downs. I've encountered some health concerns in recent years, and my husband's always been there for me, and so I feel like I always, I need to be there for him, and I'm embarrassed that I'm sitting here, but I'm going to stand by my husband and hope that this was just a mistake. And they said, ma'am, you need to sit down. We don't think you know what you're dealing with here. And she's like, what? And they explained to her what I've already told you, which is they saw him doing what he was doing at the store. They got the phone. They found some stuff on the phone. They searched the house. They found some stuff at the house. And now they are charging him with a slew of crimes. She asked, obviously, what did you find at the house on these computers, on these phones? They said, ma'am, we found you. What? Ma'am, we found you being drugged and raped repeatedly by him and other men. What? Yes, ma'am. How many men? We don't know. But we're prepared to charge more than 50 with rape.
Oh, my God.
This man, at some point in his 60s and his wife's 60s, started drugging his wife through her food.
That's where the illnesses come from.
That's right. They had no idea what they have subsequently found out. She was losing her hair. These blackouts were coming from her husband drugging her. And he would knock her out for hours. He had it down to us, so he knew exactly what to give her, how much to give her. It would knock her out for hours. And then he would invite men over, and they would assault this woman while she was completely knocked out, and she would wake up and she never knew anything. Ever. Anything.
Holy crap.
The cops have all of this on video.
Oh, yeah.
It's not disputable what is happening. Right. She's obviously in shock. What? They literally charge more than 50 men with rape. The men range in age from their 20s to their 70s. They're skinny, they're fat. As the New York Times reporter put it, go get on public transportation, go get on a bus or a subway, look around, and look at all the men in the bus just at this ages, sizes. That's what these videos. It's from every walk of life. Their husbands, their grandfathers, their brothers, they're married in some cases, not married in other cases, from all walks of life. So they tell this woman, this is what we're dealing with. Obviously, because she is a sexual assault survivor, she has rights. And as the reporter explains, in the history of this reporter covering rape cases, the woman almost always exercises the right to remain anonymous. Nobody wants their name and their face out there attached with these types of stories because there's a certain level of shame involved, whether there should be or not.
Right.
And so they talk to this woman, Giselle, and they say, who has subsequently divorced her husband. I think that goes without saying.
Yep.
And has changed her name, and she's changed to her maiden name, but still goes by Giselle. And they said, well, you can remain anonymous. And if she chooses to remain anonymous, it keeps reporters out of the courtroom. It keeps cameras out of the courtroom. It makes this as private as it could possibly be. And you know what she said? No. I didn't do anything wrong. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm going to be the face of a movement. I want you to use my married name, Giselle Pellico. I want you to use my husband's name, Dominique Pellico. I want the cameras in the courtroom. I want people to know who I am. I want people to know what happened to me. Why should I feel ashamed? What did I do wrong? I'm not going to be ashamed. You know who should be ashamed? My husband. You know who should be ashamed? These 50 other men. I'll put my name on it. I'll put my face on it to be able to put their names and faces on it too. I'm not the one that deserves to be ashamed. They are. They'll be ashamed. And the verdicts came in today, Bennett.
I'm looking at it.
Guilty across the board. All these men are going to jail for a long time.
And I'm even seeing that he was found not only guilty of all of that, but guilty of raping the wife of one of the other men who was convicted. Like they did he did the same thing to this dude's wife. This is a crazy story, man.
How about this? So some of the men actually put up defenses.
Uh-huh.
What do you think the defense is? There is because this was interesting to me the whole time. Okay, let's stop. The whole time I'm listening to this podcast, I'm going, okay, what is the defense? How are you going to defend yourself against this? You were literally on video assaulting this woman. And just so you understand what's on the video, she's literally snoring in the videos. You can hear a woman snoring. She's asleep. And also, by the way, they gave her the right to not have these videos played in court. She said, play them. She told them, play the videos of me being assaulted by my husband and other men. I want people to see it. I want them to have to watch it. She stood there strong in court, never left the courtroom one time. Amazing woman. Amazing strength. So you're on video. You're one of these guys. You're on video doing exactly what it is they said you're doing. What do you think the defense was? Because multiple men provided this defense. It clearly didn't work because they found everybody guilty. But what do you think the defense was?
Probably something along the lines of that this was consensual and they were into this, like the whole passing out, being knocked out thing.
Some of the men said, I was not coming here to sexually assault an unconscious woman. A man reached out to me about a threesome with his wife. He wanted to share his wife. This is what they were into. And he told me, that part of the fantasy was that she wanted to be asleep. That was part of the fantasy. So she's going to act like she's asleep. She's even going to snore. That's all part of the deal. So I didn't think I was sexually assaulting anybody. I thought I was participating in somebody else's fantasy.
That ain't going to fly, buddy.
Yeah, that's one of those where I think you gotta say, hey, all right, but can we get this in writing? We're going to need to get this in writing.
Yeah, I'm going to need to fill something out. Yeah,
we're going to have to get this on video of you and her both telling me this is what was going on. Because unless I hear it from her, nah.
No.
No.
Yeah, that was never going to work.
Is this the craziest story you've ever heard?
It is pretty insane. Like I'd never heard of it. Now I'm like looking at everything about it. The New York Times put out like a big piece on it today. This is crazy, man.
I don't know if it's the type of thing you're supposed to be talking about on a,
Well, that's a big story.
But
I know.
I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, what in the world? What in the world?
Yeah, that's it's in Avignon, France, wherever that is.
Well, hopefully this will be a turning point in the way we deal with stuff like this, Bennett.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hopefully this can be a turning point. What a wild story.
What's the podcast?
The Daily. The New York Times has it's called The Daily.
Okay, so they put out a big piece like
just yesterday. It was like 28 minutes. Yeah. I was like, I gotta walk around the city a little bit.
Yeah,
so
I'll
just put this on and listen. And I was like, what in the world?
That's a good pod. Nice, short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah, that's all. It's a nice 30-minute pod every day. And I don't listen to every one of them because there's some it'll be like I'm like, I don't care. Like whatever it is you're talking about, I just do not care. But largely, even if it's a topic I don't think I'll care about, I can find it interesting. And then I can walk around feeling like I know something, Yeah. Like, man, I know some stuff today. I learned something today. I feel good when I learn something. You don't feel good when you learn something, Bennett?
I do. I do like to learn things, yes. Not always,
like
but sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the same. I don't like to learn stuff all the time. Sometimes I like to turn it off and not learn anything. Sometimes I like to turn completely off and not learn nothing.
Yeah.
But there are other times where I like to learn. And yesterday, this is what I learned about yesterday. Hopefully tomorrow it'll be a happier
Something
story.
more positive, yeah.
Yeah, more positive. Be back with GP's Carryout.
Southland Casino Hotel is helping you navigate to Santa. Win your share of up to $340,000 in free play or a 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Here Comes Santa kicks off November 24th. Get one free entry and earn additional entries for weekly Saturday drawings. Don't forget the grand finale drawing on Saturday, December 21st to win up to $5,000 in free play or a 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Win big during Here Comes Santa, only at Southland Casino Hotel.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quoting, call 800-522-4700. Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedExForum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Get the squad together for this year's Junior Grizzlies 3-on-3 tournament. Presented by 2K at the Built Ford Tough practice facility inside FedExForum. On Saturday, January 4th, teams will compete in 3 games before advancing to single elimination play. Overall winners from the 10 and under, 12 and under, and 14 and under divisions will win Grizzlies tickets, including exclusive access to the pregame team shoot-around before the Grizz take on the Pelicans January 24th. Sign up today at hoopitup.com/Grizzlies.
Grizzlies are just having fun out there tonight. Morant around a screen, bumped by Wagner. No look to Smart, lays it up on the window and in, and it is all Grizz. The Grizzlies have the fans on their feet at FedExForum.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis, producing a program inside the Built Ford Tough studio. We're going to be doing the show from here again tomorrow, and then I'll be back in studio in Memphis on Monday. And then what's our schedule? Bennett, when's Christmas?
Well, I ain't gonna be here. I'm going out of town. I won't be here next
Bennett,
week.
Disney World, Bennett. Are we allowed to talk about that?
I'm not going there. No, I'm not good.
I wasn't supposed to say that.
I don't think my children are in school, so I think we're okay.
Okay.
But just it's a surprise.
Well, yeah, but like when you get your kids on you guys? I'm assuming you're flying.
We are. Yeah.
Okay, so like once your kids get on a plane to Orlando, like they're not. Stupid,
No.
Right?
We'll tell them where we're going Saturday. Yeah.
Like we were in Minneapolis a couple years ago, I guess at this point, for the Eras tour. Went to see the Eras tour. I know you didn't get to go, but we went.
I did not get to go. That's why I'm doing this.
But we went. We went. You know, you don't want to miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So we did that.
Right.
And we were checking into the hotel, and the entire city was overrun with Taylor Swift fans, and the entire hotel was overrun with Taylor Swift fans. And we got into an elevator with a woman, and she had a little girl there.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman looked at us like this, and she like did one of these, like don't say nothing. And I can't remember, but at some point the little girl walked. There was something where the mom had a moment to tell us, and it was basically like, it's supposed to be a surprise. We haven't told her yet. And I'm like, well, she's 10. and everybody here has on Taylor Swift shirts, and Taylor Swift's on the side of a hotel. There's a billboard. How long are we keeping this a secret? Isn't it pretty clear you're going to a Taylor Swift concert tonight? What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're in the vicinity, you can't make people, you can't obligate people to be quiet about your secret once you're in the vicinity. Yeah.
I mean, I did my best.
At that point.
I wasn't trying to talk to that little 10-year-old girl anyway. I mean, I look like Drake. I look like Drake. I'm not Drake. I wasn't trying to talk to a little girl anyway. It's not like I was going to say, you looking forward to Taylor tonight? I'm not just trying to spark up a conversation with a random 10-year-old. You think I'm Drake?
All right.
Not Drake.
We will be here Monday, and we will be here Thursday next week. Well, you will be here.
All right. I can't wait.
I ain't going to be here.
Bennett won't be here.
Somebody's going to hold this down. I don't really know who, but we're going to find out. I'll let you know, all right?
Bennett decided he ain't waiting around for the Grind City holiday schedule. He'll make his own schedule.
Sorry. Well, you know you got to plan these things well in advance. I can't. Yeah.
I don't know. People kept asking me, what are your holiday plans? And I said, my holiday plans are dictated by Grind City's holiday plans. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell me your holiday plans, and then I'll adjust to your holiday plans. And Bennett was like, bump that. I'm going to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Bennett ain't waiting around.
Sorry, everyone.
You don't have to apologize, Bennett. It's your life, man. You don't have to apologize.
Well, this is like the only vacation I've taken this year, so.
We'll keep working, and you go enjoy yourself, and we'll be here when you get back. We'll be here when you get back. Yeah. I hope you don't get Wally pipped. While you're gone.
God, I hope not either.
All right, let's do GP's carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but man, I think the most interesting thing, I didn't know this about myself. Bennett, did you know this about me?
What's up?
Did you know I'm a poor parker?
Oh, yeah, I did know that about you, yes.
How did you know that?
Oh, because I've seen you park your car for years. I know you're a terrible parker.
What do I do exactly?
I mean, going back to the radio station days, there were days that I couldn't fit into a little sliver because you're in there crooked. And I was like, oh, there's GP taking up 2 spots.
Is that my issue? Is I'm a little too crooked with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like remember at the radio station there was no lines, so it was like anything goes. And if you ain't abiding by like the if you're not abiding by the system that's been set in place starting in the morning, you're throwing everybody off. Here we've got lines, but I don't even think you abide by that, dude.
I try to. I try to. Yeah. The interesting thing is my car can park itself if I would just give it time to do it.
Why don't you do that? Now you don't even have to worry about this anymore. Just do the self-parking feature and you'll be fine. It'll be perfectly straight.
I don't have that kind of time, man. I'm trying to get where I'm going. I see everybody else. They pull in the garage and they back their car in and then they pull out and then they back in again. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was that important, but I did. I'm being sincere about this. I have noticed that if I pull into a parking spot, like I'm coming this way and I pull in here, when I back out, I have to come back out the same way I came in. Mm-hmm. Like the idea that I would back out the opposite way that I came in is so foreign to me.
Yeah.
It feels illegal. It feels like I shouldn't even be allowed to do it.
Right.
I will back out the same way that I came in and then drive the wrong way to go back around. I do it every day of my life.
Mm.
And I just always thought that's the way you do it. But I think Mike taught me it's because I don't straighten my wheels.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when I back out, because my wheels aren't straight, I feel like I have to go back this way. But if I would just take the time to straighten my wheels like an adult, then I could pull backwards and out either direction, and I would be more efficient with it. How is it possible I'm 47 years old and never thought about this?
That's a good question.
I've just been driving around the wrong way at Walmart my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, because I pull so think about Walmart. You pull into Walmart, like Walmart's right there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You pull in and I park this way. I park to the right. I pull in this way. When I'm getting ready to leave, if I would just pull out the opposite way, I could come right back this way, and that would be quicker. Mm-hmm. But my whole life, I will pull out the same way I pulled in, keep driving toward Walmart, stop to let 3 old people cross the thing, then take a right, then take another right, just to get back going the other direction I'd be going if I'd have just backed out the other way. But I can't do it because I don't straighten my tires.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough.
I just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I just didn't even know. Nobody's ever taught me that. I didn't know any better. It's a little bit like there was one time when I was young, I was invited to a place I probably was too young to be invited to, like an adult party. It was like an adult party, like serious people.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I got an invitation to it, but I was way out of my depths. I didn't belong at this place. All right. And I just showed up like they were like, it's a party. Starts at 8. Come on. And I was like, all right. And I walked in and I noticed everybody had walked in with like a bottle of wine. Had some sort of gift. And I was like, I didn't even know that's what you did. Like I didn't know that's what you did. I was too young to know. I was too young and too unsophisticated to know. You're supposed to just show up with something.
Yeah.
And I learned from that. I'm coachable. But I felt very ignorant in that moment. Like this is something I should just be doing, and I didn't even know I'm supposed to be doing it. Straightening my wheels is the latest example of that. I didn't know I was supposed to straighten my wheels. I didn't understand the benefits of it. But I'm going to focus on that going forward, and I'm going to be a better parker. Bennett, I think when you get back from Florida after your little vacation, somebody thinks they don't have to work till the end of the year. You're like that guy who's on his way to the end zone and holds the ball up in the air before you even cross the goal line. You ain't crossed the goal line yet. We'll be crossing the goal line here.
I filled in for everybody this summer.
We'll be crossing the goal line.
Yeah, whatever.
You want to celebrate before you cross the goal line. We'll be crossing the goal line. But while we're working next week and you're enjoying your little time away, just know this. When you get back, you're going to see 2025 is going to be a big year for me parking. This is going to be the best parking year I've ever had.
Good.
What's today's biggest game?
You ready for Thursday night football?
Yeah, sure.
Broncos and Chargers.
Not bad.
Prime Video, 7:15. SoFi Stadium out in Inglewood. Chargers are a 3-point favorite. Total's 41.5. How you going to act?
Ooh, Chargers. The defense hasn't been playing as well lately. I'll take the Broncos.
Bennett said he wants the Broncos on the road.
I'll take the Broncos.
Broncos +3 inside SoFi Stadium. That's Bennett's play for tonight.
What are we watching on TV?
Can I interest you in Carry On?
Possibly.
Okay. Let's see if I can interest you in Carry On.
Okay.
#1 movie at Netflix right now. Stars Jason Bateman. You like Jason Bateman?
Yeah. He's cool.
He is cool. Taron Egerton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
him.
He was Elton John.
Yeah. So it stars them. The plot follows a young TSA officer who is blackmailed into letting a nerve agent on board a flight during Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
It's an action thriller.
Sounds like something I should watch like at the airport.
85% approval on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, I'll give this a shot.
Maybe I'll give it a shot, too.
I'll give it a shot. It sounds pretty cool.
Sometimes I like the people at TSA, and other times I get a little frustrated with them. But broadly speaking, I find them to be okay.
Good.
I'm not mad at them. But sometimes they go through my stuff, and they don't put it back the same way that they found it.
Yeah.
And that's something I try to teach my kids, you know? Hey, if you're going to mess around with that, put it back the way you found it. Sometimes TSA, they don't put things back the way they found it. But it feels like that's not the issue here with Jason Bateman and Taron Egerton. It feels like they got something else going on. 1 hour, 59 minutes. It's action, drama, mystery, thriller. 85% approval, Rotten Tomatoes. You can watch it right now, Netflix.com.
What's the best thing we've read?
So at CBSSports.com, they've ranked the top 150 college football players in the country. After this season is largely in the books, let's rank the top 150. Who you think's #1, Bennett?
Tennessee.
He just won Bennett. We're going to rank the top 150 players in college football. Tennessee is not a player.
My bad. I was thinking schools.
Tennessee is not a player. Tennessee is a university.
#1.
He just won a Heisman Trophy, and his girlfriend's been drunk all week.
Oh, Travis Hunter, of course.
Travis Hunter is number 1. Ashton Genty, number 2. Number 3, Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. Number 4, Dylan Gabriel, quarterback out of Oregon. Seth Hennigan, where do you think he's in it? He's in it. Where is Memphis quarterback Seth Hennigan coming off an 11-2 season? Where is Seth Hennigan?
I'll say he's sitting comfortably at number 30.
30? Jesus Lord, Bennett.
Is that too high?
It's way too high.
He just broke a ton of records.
He's a Dalmatian.
101.
He's number 101.
Okay.
Seth Hennigan, 101. You can find the list at cbssports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Friday. Food Truck Friday.
No,
I will get food. No, but they do have
cold
food truck. There's a food truck on every corner in New York City, Bennett.
It's Food Truck Friday for you. Got it.
I'm having Food Truck Friday tomorrow. Maybe I'll send you a video.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll send you a video. Food Truck Friday tomorrow for me. Jessica Benson will join me. We'll look back at Grizz-Warriors. Get ready for the college football playoff. Woohoo! Should be a fun show. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.